Hi Alejandro, welcome to your online math class with me, Mr. Lang. I want to just start off by welcoming you back and hoping that you were doing really well, that you had a great spring break. Alright, let's start our lesson. So Alejandro, we're going to start our brand new unit called Unit 6 Algebra with Mr. Lang. As you can see here, we do have the title of our unit right here, where I'm kind of hovering my little pen. You can see a picture of me right here as I'm looking very confused by math. So hopefully that look of confusion will be gone as we start our lesson. So some material that you're going to need for this unit are these things here. You're going to need a calculator and paper, and also probably a device to use to watch this video and look at the slideshows. Alright, so let's go into what you're going to learn in this unit. So in this unit, you're going to learn how to solve algebraic equations, and that's a fancy word, algebraic equations. And all that word means, or all those words mean, is that they are equations that use algebra. So right here is an example of an algebraic equation. This equation has numbers and it also has a letter. We can see here that we have the letter x. So algebra equations are equations that have letters and numbers. Now the letters can change. It doesn't always have to be x. So for example, I could have an algebraic equation that has the letter p minus 2 equals 5. Now this is also an algebraic equation. Instead of the letter x, we have the letter p. Both are algebraic equations. Now, let's go a little bit deeper and explain algebraic equations a little bit more. So what are algebraic equations? Algebraic equations involve numbers and letters. So it's like mixing math with language together. We're using the alphabet and numbers. You can think of algebra as a game, and in this game, you're trying to find out what number the letter represents. So let's take a look at this example here. We have x plus 3 equals 6. So again, let's think of it like a game. And in this game, we're trying to find out what number would x be. Right now it's a mystery, we don't know. And we're trying to find out what it is. So in this unit, we're going to learn how to find out what those letters are. So for this one, though, let's just try it. What do you think the letter x is? What plus 3 equals 6? Well, I know that 3 plus 3 equals 6, so that must mean that x equals 3. Alright, let's go into our learning goal for this week. So just for this week, I want you to be able to do these two things. I would like you to be able to pick out the variables, and I'll explain what that is in a second. But I'd like you to be able to pick out the variables and also change words into equations. And again, I'll explain both of those things in this lesson. But if you can do those two things, you have met our learning goals for the week. Alright, let's talk about variables. First off, what are variables? Variables are letters or symbols used to represent a number. Now let me explain that with an example. Let's write down this equation. n plus 4 equals 9. I would like you to be able to tell me what is the variable in this equation. Now again, variables are letters or symbols used to represent a number. So let's look at this equation. We have n plus 4 equals 9. So 4 is a number and 9 is a number. Which one is not a number? That's right, n. N is not a number. N is a letter. So in this case, our variable is n. Let's try another one. Let's go z minus 2 equals 7. What is the variable in this equation? Well, 2 is a number, 7 is a number, z is a letter. So z is our variable. Next, let's talk about key words used in equations. So usually with equations, we have either some adding, some subtracting, maybe some multiplying, and maybe some dividing. What we're going to look at right now is we're going to look at key words used when we write or when we say these equations out loud with our mouth. So for example, when we see an equation like 2 plus 3 equals 5, when we say it out loud, we use maybe one of these words here. So a key word for the plus or the adding might be the word more. For example, 2 more than 3 is 5. We might use the word add. We often use the word plus. Sometimes we use the word sum. Other times we use the word greater, and then we also use the word increased. So for example, 3 increased by 2 is 5. Let's look at subtraction now. So let's say we have 5 minus 4 equals 1. So a key word when we say this equation out loud with our mouth, we might say the word minus, like 5 minus 4. Or we might say the difference between 5 and 4 is 1. We might use the word less, or we might use the word decreased. For example, 5 decreased by 4 is 1. Now let's look at multiplying. Let's use an example like 3 times 2, which is 6. Oftentimes when we say this equation out loud, we use the word times. 3 times 2. Now let's look at divide. Let's go 15 divided by 3 equals 5. Oftentimes when we say that word, divide, we use the word divide. We say divide. Sometimes we also use the word quotient. And lastly, when we say this symbol right here, when we say that out loud with our mouth, we sometimes use the word is, or sometimes we say equals. All right, let's do our first practice question together. So for this question, let's look at the instructions. It says, translate the equation into words. So let's read the instructions as well. Look at the operation being used and use one of the keywords to replace it. Okay, let's take a look. It says x minus 5 equals 7. So let's write this equation into a sentence with words. So rather than saying the letter x, let's say a number because we don't know what x is. So we'll just say a number. We know it's a number, but we don't know what the number is. So we'll say a number. Now, this is a subtraction symbol. Let's go back to our keywords right here. What is a subtraction word that we can use? Let's go with the word minus. So, a number minus 5. So we've just written x minus 5 as a number minus 5. And now we need to use a word for this equal sign. Let's go back to our keywords. What's a good word to use for an equal sign? Let's use the word is. So a number minus 5 is 7. All right, let's take a look. Let's see how we have matched it up. So we had the letter x, and instead of writing the letter x, we wrote a number. Then we had the subtraction symbol, and the word that goes with that is minus. Then we had 5, so we wrote 5. And then we had the equal sign, and the word that goes with an equal sign is the word is. And then lastly, we had the number 7, so we can write 7. Okay, let's do one more example together. Let's say we have the letter P times 4 equals 12. Well, how could we write this in a sentence? Well, instead of saying the letter P, let's just say a number. And again, now we need to put this into words. So that's a multiplying symbol. Let's go back to our keywords. A good word to use for multiply might be the word times. So a number times 4 equals 12. Well, let's use a different word for this equal sign. Let's go to our keywords. We can use the word is. So a number times 4 is 12. Okay, for this next activity, we have to go the other way. Now we need to translate the sentence into an equation. So the instructions say, look at the keywords and change them to symbols. Here's our first example. 4 more than a number is 2. So let's turn this sentence into an equation. So 4, we can write the number 4. What about more? What would be a word that we can use for that? Let's go to our keywords. So I can see here that the word more goes with addition. So 4 more, so we can go 4 plus, and then it says a number. Now we don't know what that number is, so let's just pick a variable or a letter. Let's go with the letter N. 4 plus N is 2. So what's a good sign or a symbol to use for the word is? Let's look at our keywords. It looks like is goes with equals. So we can use the equal sign for is, and then we can put 2. So here is our sentence. This is our sentence. And this is the equation of the sentence. We have 4, 4. More than, we put the plus sign. A number, we put the letter N. Is, we put the equal sign. 2 and 2. Let's do one more. It says 6 times a number is 12. So how can I put that into equation? Well, the word for 6, I can write the number 6 times, that sounds like a multiplication operation. So I can put the multiply symbol. 4 times a number. Now we don't know what that number is, so we're going to put a variable. Let's choose the letter T. 4 times a number, and I'm going to choose T as my number symbol. 4 times T is, and a good symbol to use for is the equal sign. And for 12, we put 12. Okay. So that is the lesson for this week. If I'm going too fast for you, you can pause the video or rewind the video as well. I'm just going to show you the rest of the slideshow. So as you look here, you have this on your slideshow. These are just the notes from today. So it's basically what I talked about just on a piece of paper for you to read. You can reread it and look at the examples for yourself. Here are the questions I would like you to complete. So there are 2 pages of questions. There's this page and this page. Again, both of these pages are on your slideshow. What I'd like you to do is write your answers on a piece of paper and then scan it or take a picture of it and attach it to your assignment on Google Classroom. Let's go over the instructions for the first page. The first page for your homework here is to translate the equation into words and an equation. So for the first question, they want you to find the variable for the example questions right here. You just need to tell me what is the variable. For here, for the next one, number 2, I'd like you to write each equation into words. So I want you to write it into a sentence. And then, for number 3, you have to do it the other way. They give you a sentence, and you need to write it as an equation. Your next page for your homework is to write the symbols or the equation for each sentence. So you can see an example here for the first one. It says 5 more than a number is 10. So here's what the equation would look like. 5 plus n equals 10. Again, they just chose the letter N. You can choose whatever letter you want. You can even use the same letter every time if you want. Maybe you want to use the letter A for Alejandro. Okay, so this is your homework for the week. If you have any questions, you can email me or ask your parents to email me for you, and I can explain things more with you. Okay, good luck, Alejandro.